What happened on day one, Bassmaster Elites on the Mississippi River? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. The Bassmaster Elites are holding their final event of the year with a lot of great storylines. They are on the Mississippi River in La Crosse. We'll go over the top 10 and the Angler of the Year points in a minute. Now, I'm going to give some positives and also some negatives. It's not meant to be, it's just constructive criticism. Things that I see as a fan that I hope Bassmaster at some point will listen to or even look at to try to improve what they're doing. The first one is, and it might not be popular opinion, but do whatever they can to make sure that that Mercer in the morning that is only on, I think, Dave's Instagram page, that is put on all the time. Now, here's why. If you've never seen Dave unscripted, he's quirky and his quick wit comes out to play in a lot of great instances in that Mercer on the morning. And it gives fans a different perspective on the anglers, and also you get to see just how smart and funny Dave is. And it really gives you a different perspective on the anglers. And while at times it can be very uncomfortable because there's some anglers that just aren't good in front of the camera, that makes it more enjoyable too. But if there was a way to put that Mercer on the morning on the Bassmaster homepage, I think it would be a really good idea. And some would go, Steve, you've come a long way. Now this event, we're going to see who's going to win Angler of the Year. We're going to see who makes it to the Classic. We're going to find out who gets cut and who doesn't get cut, who gets relegated down or moves on. There's a lot of storylines going on, and this tournament, as of day one, was pretty darn good. There were a lot of anglers that thought if you could catch 12 to 14, you were in good shape. But we got to see Caleb Kupel and Brandon Card and KJ Queen bringing 18 pounds. We got to hear Ben Milliken say he thought he might have been able to catch 20 pounds a day. That just shows how good this fishery is now. This wasn't the same a few years back. They have really done a lot of work to make sure there's not only quality, but quantity fish. And early on in day one, there was a couple things that I think maybe we missed. Starting off with, did we just forget about Jay Przekurat? Because he's leading Angler of the Year points as it stands right now after a great day one on the Mississippi River. And it brought in a lot of questions for me, such as, was Trey and Chris feeling the pressure of trying to become Angler of the Year here in 2025? And we just skipped over Jay. But we have a 4-horse race for really Angler of the Year. And that comes to Jay Przekurat's currently in first. We have Chris Johnson in second. We have Trey McKinney in third. And sneaking up quietly is Kyoya Fujita, who is also in the mix and only about 10, 12 points away. And going into day two and then the knockout, really, it's a really good race for Angler of the Year. And the top 10 anglers were Caleb Kupel, KJ Queen, Brandon Card, Pat Schlapper, Andrew Loberg, Corey Johnston, Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, Brian Schmidt, and then Jay Przekurat in the top 10. Now I'm going to give a little more constructive criticism because I thought that the one thing that was missing early on today was fishing. I know that sounds crazy. It's a fishing show. But it seems like Bass and the production crew would rather talk about past experiences and past events than what's going on right there. I also think that Bass and Bassmaster needs to put out 10 camera people, not 6 anymore. I know it costs a lot of money, and I can only imagine. But I think it might help the production value because, like I said, they kept going back to past events. They kept going back to manage a lot of stuff in fantasy fishing. And I'm not sure as a fan if we want that information or we want to see what's going on right now. And I'm going to give credit. The cameramen are absolutely ridiculously good. Some of those close-up shots of a frog walking on top of the water and getting blown up is the best thing ever. To be honest, if I were Bass, I would make a compilation of all the bites on topwater baits from the Mississippi and put it online, because I think it would be wonderful to watch. And while we're talking about fantasy fishing, there was a commercial break, which were too many, but there was a commercial break where they started talking about, if you're interested in joining fantasy fishing, here's what you need to do. They need to remember, because it was a live read, they need to remember this is the last tournament of the year. Why is anyone joining fantasy fishing after this tournament? Not to mention, the tournament's already going. So why would you can't even submit your team or make a field. Some of the things that Bass does just don't make a lot of sense to me. And I will say, they had side by side. It was like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It was like good and evil. It was red and blue. They had, one side was Trey McKinney, and the other side they had Chris Johnston. And I'm telling you, there was such a drastic difference in fishing techniques, it almost was silly. We got to see Trey on one side, scoping, doing no casting, nothing. And then you had the other side where you had Chris Johnston casting a frog, casting topwater every couple seconds, zooming it out there. It was such a drastic difference to see the pros and cons to what's going on in this industry. And I think Bass really needs to take a really deep dive and decide what they're going to do about forward-facing sonar. Because the anglers who are scoping, which was just one pretty much today, Trey, when they're not casting at a fish, or they're looking down and looking for a certain quality fish and not talking, you shouldn't have them on the television, or they should not be on the broadcast. I know he might be one of the leaders, and he's one of the Angler of the Year title contenders, but it's horrible fishing to watch. Anyone who is new to fishing and sees this will never watch it again. And it's just a slight thing to just go, okay, move off that guy. If he's going to do that, don't put him on there. It's an easy fix. I'm not sure if adding 4 more cameramen, if that's an easy fix. I think that's probably a monetary fix. And that would be, I could understand why they wouldn't do that. But Bass has the opportunity to do so many good things because there's so many loyal fans to Bass. But they keep stepping on their own feet in a lot of cases. This event really has a ton of storylines. It really does. The anglers that are going to be relegated. Kaylee Kupel getting out there and dominating. Ben Milliken, is he going to re-qualify? How did he do? It's amazing. He's right now inside the cut line, which is great for him. Who are the people that are going to make the Classic bid? We heard about it nonstop on the way-in, but we need to hear about it during the tournament, during the live feed. And I want the best for Bass. I'd like to see everyone succeed. That's the truth. It's just, like I said, I think they keep stepping on their own feet. And I don't understand who's making some of the decisions that's going on production-wise. Because as a fan, and as someone who's probably overly critical about Bass and Major League Fishing and NPFL, but there's a lot of people that agree with some of the things that I say. And I'm not saying it to hurt any organization. I just see it and tell it as I see it. But what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Think I'm right? Think I'm crazy? I can understand all of them. But I really do appreciate everyone who's part of this channel and is interactive on the comments and everything else. I can't say thank you enough. It is unbelievable, phenomenal, and humbling in a lot of cases. I really do appreciate everyone, so thank you. But if you're not a subscriber, you should be. It's quick, easy, and it's free. All you gotta do is hit that button and click the bell so you know when the next video drops. Remember, take your kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.